Ladies and gentlemen, while going to a couple different channels to check if the information on the stocks that I cover and hold in my own portfolio here are doing well, I ended up finding a pretty particular interesting site whenever looking at SoFi. And that has to do with a prediction for Q3 of 2025, the next quarter that is about to be presented for SoFi, for which we're already through the first 2 months. It's only September left, so we need to find a little bit more data there, and hopefully we'll see website traffic. But for now, we have Google Trends data, which is also very exciting. First up, looking at the website traffic and the Google searches of where they're coming from whenever searching up SoFi Bank, we see it is extremely heavy in California and different topics that we see from SoFi. But I have many more things that I want to talk about. First up, debt consolidation as a simple topic here ended up spiking quite largely here in Q3 of 2025. That was actually at the peak July 13th to July 19th. But I have this date here pinned, July 27th to August 2nd, because you're going to see something interesting happen across the rest of the data that we end up looking at. That is that personal loans. So we just saw debt consolidation see a spike almost roughly 2 weeks earlier. 2 weeks later, personal loans ends up being a massive topic of discussion. Okay. And where we usually see this hang out in the rough 50 areas. Now, this is not an amount of searches, but it's relative to how many searches are already coming through. Okay. So that base would be at around 50. And then whenever we see more than usual growth in searches, that ends up being the top, which is at 100 here, which ended up being in Q3 of 2025 over the past 12 months. Okay. Then SoFi also peaked in that exact same time, July 27th to August 2nd, the same period that personal loans were spiking. Same with SoFi Bank, for example, and in fact, actually has less of a drop off afterwards. SoFi checkings also had a spike July 20th or 27th to August 2nd. Remember, this is Q3. This is data we are about to see. So although we've seen unbelievable levels of growth over the last 3 quarters, these quarters have actually been, relatively within the same level of searches during that period. Whereas SoFi for Q3, which started at about this week here and going forward, is actually seeing higher than expected volume across all of these sections. Similarly with SoFi Plus. In fact, we are seeing now such a large spike that it's making the previous quarters look as if it's been underperforming. But really, it's just in Q3 where we're starting to see some real volume for people searching up SoFi Plus. This one actually shocked me because whenever you look at Robinhood's data, you see spikes here, you see spikes, back in November where the markets were really hot, but you're not actually seeing a peak in July 27th to August 2nd. That was not Robinhood's peak, but it is for SoFi Invest. So it's that general cross sell that if people are going to SoFi Bank, if people are going to SoFi, that they're most likely also going to be searching for SoFi Invest. And yes, I just leaked it as well. Credit cards, this one's very interesting. The spike did not happen on July 27th to August 2nd. And in fact, there is no real peak. It just seems like a general increase in overall interest in SoFi credit cards starting, back here, which is even back in Q2, which we saw a record level of new credit cards, the highest that we've ever seen. And now going forward, it looks like we are just absolutely going to dominate those numbers, holding up at above 100 peak for multiple weeks in a row. So looking very strong on the credit cards. Can't wait to see how that develops over the rest of Q3 for September. Whenever we put all of these together, including SoFi Loan, okay, SoFi Loan ends up being the highest search over SoFi Invest, SoFi Plus, SoFi Checkings. There's more people searching up SoFi Loan than any of them, meaning that there's probably a lot of growth, not just on this particular peak, but in general, Q3 over any other quarter that we've seen in terms of the website traffic or the amount that people are searching for specifically on google.com. Okay. Next, if I add in SoFi Bank, we are seeing, once again, massive peak during that July 27th, August 2nd period, while also seeing above average search just in general. That coincides with a rise in SoFi Loan and a peak in all products essentially. I just wanted to highlight this really quickly because obviously Q3 is going to be what actually makes or breaks SoFi in terms of the large growth in the stock that we've seen just over the last 3 months. So we're going to need to see some great results, but so far it's looking very, very good. Probably better than I would have ever imagined, not just in the SoFi bank searches, but particularly in SoFi loans. This is not just the personal loan segment, it's SoFi loan. Okay, which is seeing a massive increase in that overall growth, which could also coincide with the loan platform business, meaning that SoFi, although they're growing in the amount of loans that they have, they're not actually taking in additional, risk for writing those loans. But ladies and gentlemen, that's it. Very quick video. I just wanted to highlight this. Looking forward to a very, very successful Q3. I'm going to update you guys whenever website traffic comes out, and if we get more data from management. We're about to see a fireside chat from them very soon, so I'll be updating you guys constantly. If you guys want to see more, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. But bye for now.